Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Talk Tuesday. Super excited today, not only because we are welcoming back our scholars, right, back into the classroom. It is the first day of school for the Hartford Public School System. But we also have Shonta Browdy here, a member of the Hartford Board of Education. And so that was done by coincidence, right? Not on purpose. But I think that it is a good opportunity and great timing, right? To have a conversation with you, right, about the Hartford Board of Education, because they do some really important work, right? But also because we are on the eve of local elections for the Hartford Board of Education. So our conversation today is a combination of both, really to talk about the work that the Board of Education does, how people can get information and be involved in that process, and your goals, right, for the Hartford Board of Education, especially now because we've changed leadership, right, and so there are opportunities in things that he talked about working on, and just want to understand from your perspective as a Board of Education member, what are some issues and challenges that you think would be good to focus on as well, right? And so please introduce yourself. I did give a brief introduction of who you were, but introduce yourself and your role in the city, being on the board, etc.
Hello, my name's Shonta Browdy. I'm a Hartford native, and most people who graduated from Weaver leave with, I'm a Weaver graduate. I've served on the Board of Ed, like I'm well into my 7th year. I've done 2 terms. I'm a parent. I have one child that has gone through the Hartford Public School System, and I have another who started 10th grade today. So I'm excited to be here. I thank you for the invite. One invite that it was very easy to say, yeah, I'll be here.
And thank you for accepting, right? So 7 years, what makes you keep on going back?
I jokingly say this time I didn't really think about it. I think because I had like some folks that said, I'll help you with the campaign. My other campaigns, it was great people, but I felt like I was winging it. I didn't really know. I didn't really want to serve on the Board of Ed. I never had like saying, oh, I want to be up there, making decisions. Prior to being on the Board of Ed, I attended board meetings for over 10 years. I started when my oldest began pre-K 4, which was in a Hartford public school. I started attending board meetings immediately, and I was doing it at first selfishly because I wanted to know all the decisions you're making for my kid. I'm going to be there. I'm going to try to figure out the system. I always say, at the time my mom was living in Georgia. She lived there. She born and raised here, but she lived there for 17 years. So I'm talking to her on the phone. My daughter's starting pre-K 4, and she said, I feel sorry for them people. Because she know I was going to be present. I was going to be asking questions. You know, what you doing with my kid? So I've always paid attention. And then when the Working Families candidate at the time, Robert Cotto, when he was no longer going to run, I was approached. I was actually approached before that by folks that were involved in like the Democratic committee process, trying to get me, and I was like, that is not what I want to do. But after years of knowing I could sit out here and wait to this meeting over, ask questions, send emails, and try to engage on things that I think is important, that should be a priority, or I could be over there, knowing that I could provide the opportunity for what I wanted sitting out in the audience. So it was more important for me to be able to give a platform for those in the audience who never, their voices never get elevated, like a parent that has a concern. That was my desire, to make those parents who did not have a voice, to give them a voice. So that was my motivation in saying yes.
Got it. And I think that we should stop, right, and really mention or really put emphasis on your journey, right? Because oftentimes in my world, when we want to encourage people to get out and use their voice, there isn't a model where you can say, I was a regular person and now I ran for office and now I can make these decisions for people within my community that don't have a voice, right? So I think that having you here and having this conversation and you also talking about your journey makes it so much more realistic for the regular person, right? That truly by getting involved, you own the power, right? And there are opportunities for you to make the change that you want to see, and by having that support, right? Because you have support along the way. But there are opportunities from being that regular person and seeing things that needs to be changed and being in that position to do it not only for yourself, but for other people. So I thought that it's super important just to stop and say that, right? Because we always have that exchange with the residents saying, hey, I don't do that or I don't do this because what am I gonna do, right? What can I do as a single person? But there are opportunities. So the Board of Ed, what is the Board of Ed, right? You went to these meetings, you went because of you wanted to have a voice and understand what was going on within your child's school system. But what is it, right? Well, what is the Board of Ed? What are they, what are their goals or what are their powers and what do they do and how do they work with the school system?
So we're very high level, at least we're supposed to be. I try to say as high level as I could possibly be, but it is very hard. Okay. The things we're like supposed to do, like a parent comes to you and they have a concern. I think it's very good for. I never try to just jump in and handle it, right? I want the parent to know, because we have a school district full of staff who we don't manage. We just manage the superintendent. Okay. So we have a entire school district where everybody has a job to do, right? Okay. So if the parent is coming straight to a board member, there's the school level and then there's the district level. Like it's ways. So I want to make sure that they've gone through that because it's protocol in place. Okay. Sometimes things are so urgent that, like, the protocol is the protocol, but this parent has the issue. Okay. So we have a wonderful liaison who is crazy that she is a liaison for 9 board members. If I have an issue, a parent, I forward her the email or text this is the issue. So she maneuvers the department, the person who's in charge of it, because we have to be careful that we are, sometimes the superintendent will say, like, I have a heart for like special education, like, oh, is this not going right? You know, some of the meetings, these are what parents are telling me their experience in like the PPT meetings. So the superintendent, our superintendent that just left will say, I'm going to let you have meetings directly with our head of special education so you can understand and you can bring the concern instead of the back of, you know, she understood the concern. Right. So she'll put me with a department head, but I'm never going to just call the department head and be like, oh, because we're not their boss. So it's a fine line. But as you build relationships, you are able to just talk to that person. Okay. But you try not to overreach what the responsibility is of the superintendent. Like I don't want to do the superintendent's job.
Mm-hmm.
But from the experiences of the staff
Mm-hmm.
and the families, it can help us be a better partner with the superintendent, because the wonderful thing about still having a child in the school system and having family members and friends that have kids in Hartford Public Schools, I really know what's happening in the school.
Okay.
I would be way disconnected if that wasn't the case. Like, is an initiative, oh, we're going to do a freshman academy. Last year I had a freshman, so I know what was done in the freshman academy, you know? So it keeps me connected, but our main job is to manage the superintendent. So we hire the superintendent has to get a budget, propose a budget. That budgets get passed by the Board of Education. Now, one of the things, we did move away from it as a board, with even voting on the principal that the superintendent brings forward.
Okay.
It slipped by me. I was in the community and people was like, this principal of my school, and I was like, that's not your principal. Maybe they're acting. I think during my tenure, I have not missed more than 3 meetings. I want to say 2, but maybe 3. But this one meeting is when it was a vote to we only appointed on cabinet level.
Okay.
It used to be principals and up, or it was a weird thing, but definitely the principals, because I believe the principals have like the most important job in the district.
Okay.
They are in control of schools, environments, if teachers want to be in your building or not, evaluating teachers, holding them accountable, encouraging them, training them, making them better educators, providing, like, creating this environment for children that they want to be in, they want to come to school. So I hold high the job of being a principal. So policy was changed to take that away and then only do the cabinet level.
Okay.
So one thing I'm proud of is that policy got changed back last month.
Okay.
That we now vote again, and we did it last board meeting.
Okay.
We vote on principals.
Okay.
So to get things changed, I'm one of 9 people, so nothing I do is alone, because as you only move as a board.
Yes.
One person doesn't supervise the superintendent. Collectively, we do. We don't always agree. Over the years, I have disagreed probably just as much as I agreed with my colleagues, but we try to just manage the superintendent, because some people think we do all this, like I cannot just, what school is near? Closest Sands,
Yep.
probably the closest school that's open, or Milner,
Yep.
which is,
Journalism.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Wish over there on
Right.
Magnolia Vine right now. I can't just go in there and just say, I'm in here. Some principals say, you can come to my school anytime, but it's a policy that we can't just walk into school. Because some people, I'm thinking, did some people abuse that back in the day when they made this policy? That just going up in school acting like you the boss? But literally, we have to make arrangements, because what principal is not going to stop whatever they're doing? A board member is in their building, right? So we don't want to be a distraction. We want to be like, we want to come and see what you're doing and what date is good, so they can, entertain us. But yeah, we can't, it's policy that I can't just go up in somebody's school and start walking around. Now, my child go to school, that's different. If I'm representing a family member, that's different. But as a board member, just, it's policy against that. So it's just a lot of things people think we are in control of, and we could do that. By policy, we can't.
Got it. So let's unpack that, right? So for the people that are watching and that are listening, so our board members, right, similar to our council, right, holds that role of holding our leadership accountable. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That is correct. And so the decisions that our superintendent are making, the board collectively, so not just one, but that does not mean that you don't reach out to one, right? So that one can advocate on your behalf.
Absolutely. Don't think you're not supposed to do that.
Exactly, right? So you can reach out to the one that you're most familiar with or that may live in your community or however that works, right? As your first sort of line of defense and say, hey, I have this issue, right? And it's incumbent upon that member to now talk to the other members and say, hey, this came up, right? Or to bring that up during a vote or during a conversation, however that works. So their goal and their role really is your first line of defense in trying to engage the school. But to your point, there are protocols, right? So you might want to start with the teacher at your school. The teacher is not responding. You might want to start with the principal, right? And then kind of go through that line. Because to your point, sometimes there are unrealistic expectations of what we can and what we can't do in the professional, legislative or political world. So really, we just gave you sort of the blueprint of if you have a concern within HPS, this is how you would do it, right? And the process could be long, it could be complex, right? But that's when you reach out to your Board of Education members, right? Help me navigate this situation because I tried X, Y, and Z, and now I need your help, right? That is their role. So hopefully that is clear and helpful for people as we do start the new school year, right? Of how to navigate and deal with issues like that.
Can I add that the reason I personally want them to know the way to go, like say if something happened, we far away from that way. Now we just go on the board member asking our liaison to contact whomever because this issue has to be solved. But I still am going to explain how, because I need them to explain that to the next person. So I'm helping you with your problem, but this is how it. But most, I can say, the majority of the folks that come, they've tried.
Okay.
And somebody may have not followed through with something. But I need for them to know the way to follow because they're going to be the help to the next person.
And that is so important. We as an organization feel the same way. Like if we were not to be in existence tomorrow, right, that what we've done is kind of giving you, told you how to fish, taught you how to fish, right? Taught you how to navigate that problem or how to access care. And in this realm, how to advocate for your child within the school so that not only can you now independently do it, but if you have a friend or family member, because that's really how information goes the fastest, right? It goes more fast through our networks than it does through social media, through any other communication we could possibly do. You're gonna rely on and trust your neighbor and your friend and your family before you trust anyone else. Right? So that is like the best and easiest way to kind of get information throughout the community. So that's super key. When are board meetings happening, right? How do we decide locations?
So we currently are meeting at MD Fox, and that's on Maple Avenue, the third Tuesday of every month. We have a workshop that's virtual. I believe that's the first Tuesday, I'm speaking to Tuesday. We do have a schedule on our website. I don't know if a lot of people goes to the Hartford Public School website. It actually shows how to get in touch with all the board members.
Okay.
We have one thing a lot of people don't know. For people who, like if you are a Hartford resident, and your child is bussed out or your child goes to crack, whatever the case, you still get advocacy from the Hartford Public School System. Wow. I've been in meetings in the suburbs, and they like, why are you bringing this lady up and out? And I was ready at those meetings because a lot goes on in certain environments in certain towns that our kids are in. But if it's a Hartford resident, you can ask for advocacy in certain meetings because you feel like, who's going to speak up for me?
Mm-hmm.
So our welcome center, so our main office, central office, and our welcome center is now located on Trumbull Street, but I think in January, Buckley School should be opening, mid-year, some kind of, should be opening up, and that's where our central office is gonna be
Okay.
within the Buckley campus. But the Welcome Center, you can call for help. Like, I know other organizations provide certain advocacy, but when
Mm-hmm.
if you feel like I cannot manage it, if you're a Hartford resident, you can ask for that advocacy.
Wow. So I didn't know that. And so just want to again repeat that. Even if you have students that are not attending a Hartford public school, but you are a Hartford resident, the Board of Ed can also advocate for you and your family. Correct?
Or if you're homeless, we have McKinney-Vento funds that are designated for homelessness. So you get, and homeless is you do not have a place of your own. You're sleeping on somebody's couch and your kids are at a family member's house.
Mm-hmm.
You are considered under that McKinney-Vento. It's funds set aside for that. Even like for tutoring, it is so much we don't know. So we have those regular board meetings, we have the workshop, but we also have committees.
Okay.
And the most that you'll find helpful to families, for the topics we're talking about right at this moment, is the family community engagement.
Okay.
That committee. The Welcome Center gives a report, and I could say that's what I think I'm proud of too. Like breaking down that report, what schools had what main issues, like for the month that you're reporting. So last month, how many was most of the concerns or complaints around uniform or whatever the case may be around transportation. So is a report that's given, and then they report on the PTOs, the school governance councils. Is ways that I did as a parent to be a voice in my child's school. I served on a PTO, and then that helps. What that does, if you serve on a school governance council, which is the governing body, in partnership with the principal. What that helps board members know too is, for all the policies and everything we have, are we really doing it? So a parent can come to me and say, this is going absolutely well, it's going as planned, it's going as policy states, it's going as state statute states as far as school governance councils.
Okay.
But it helps us, the more parents are involved and are communicating with board members, it helps us know what is actually going on.
Okay.
And by the community helping us understand what's going on, naturally the superintendent is going to know all of those things in the community. So it just helps us govern better.
Okay.
I think when you know the concerns and you know the real experiences of families and staff too, because staff would be like, I think staff, I think they well represented, but I still enjoy understanding from staff. And when I say well represented, we're represented by unions. I think really knowing, because they really know what's going on in the building, you get a sense of environment and how the feel is, how they're treated good and bad, or just really knowing like the pulse of the school. You really learn that, because parents sometimes are in and out. Staff, they're there all day.
Yeah.
So I have opportunity sometimes to speak to especially the Hartford resident staff, to really, because I think sometimes they have like a real deep investment, because they're not only employees of the school, they live in a community.
Yeah.
So learning the experiences of families and staff definitely helps you govern way better.
Got it. And that is a good segue into the next question, which is, what are ways in which families can engage, right? So we talked about coming to the Board of Education meeting, right? What are other ways and mediums in which they can ask questions, provide input, provide feedback when engaging Board of Ed members?
Well, we're available all the time. Anytime the community has a right. Sometimes people don't got kids in the system. They grandma, they still involved and want to know what y'all doing up over there. So it's good to see some people who they no longer have kids in the school system or never did, but they're concerned about their community. So they can always reach out to us. Board meetings is kind of like you talking to us with your 3 minutes, but we don't go back and forth. That's per policy, right? And the committee meetings, you can watch. You can always ask questions. I think pick something you are interested in, because sometimes it's like maybe too overwhelming. People say all these meetings, I don't know what they're talking about. If you're interested in reading, pay attention to that, and then your appetite, I think, increased, at least it did for me, to wanting to know, okay, this math. One time I was on like a math, and this is the thing too. I used to be like, y'all gotta have more parents. Like when I wasn't on the board, like every committee, I know I'm at these meetings, but you gotta try to not be the token parent. Find other parents in the school. You don't have to call me. You want me to be the SUC, the PTO, the everything. Engage up, and so I would just encourage people to be open. Be open to being used by, like your pastor say, let the Lord use. Be used by your school community in a good way. Be that conduit between. You could be between the school and the parents, because some parents, the school can't reach them, but you can. They from your community, like, okay, it's a way I could, get everyone on board. I think it's a good idea for at least every teacher to have that one parent in their classroom that they're, and then we wouldn't have these problems with, we have some schools that have no PTO. The SGC is not in compliance because you're supposed to have a certain number of parents, certain number of teachers. So you have to show up for these kids, and sometimes you're showing up for other people's kids. My daughter always say, let somebody worry about these kids. Because she understands you on the Hartford Board of Ed, you have to live in Hartford. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But try to just be that parent. At least just give it a try, because a lot of times, like one experience I had, and this just was my experience, when my child was in magnet school as elementary, I felt, okay, suburban and Hartford parents, we working together. But when high school came, I felt like this must what it feels like, that I felt like my child was like maybe bust out to another town, and I was like a visitor. I didn't feel
like you're part of the community.
I was like, what is going on? This school in Hartford, magnet schools exist only because of Hartford kids. But I felt like I was bringing up things like, we can't, help, reprimand a student for something. It was something that I said, like, you can't use behavior. Yep, that's what it was. You can't use behavior to say you ain't going to recess. A lot of people don't know that. Or gym. You're not supposed to do that. That's not nothing I'm making up. But of course, you acting up, you ain't going to gym. Everybody want to go to gym. So I think I was speaking up saying maybe kids are being held for a behavior for something that's just, they privileged to do this. So you can't take back this privilege for a behavior. The parents was like, oh no, and I was like, what are y'all really here advocating for? Because in those environments, the kids were getting in trouble, right? Our kids. So I never want that to be someone else's experience. These are our schools in our town.
Okay.
Everyone else they visiting.
Mm-hmm.
They will you will be welcomed in, but you ain't gonna run our schools. You ain't going to, because your experience in a lot of times is a little bit different from someone in another town. Not all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're running an organization
Mm-hmm.
built for parents
Mm-hmm.
in a way that's not reflective of Hartford parents,
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with that.
Okay.
Because these institutions are built for us. They're in our community, and I think in some of our schools, I'm like, I don't feel like I never went back. I was like, I'm gonna just watch from far, communicate with our teachers, wonderful staff over there, but no, I didn't like how I felt at that meeting, and that's me. And I think I could kind of manage myself in those environments. So imagine a parent who just trying to say, I want to show up.
Yeah.
And then they're looking like, who you? And they in your city and your schools. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So I think that those are really important points, though, right? When we talk about input and kind of no representation or no PTOs or school governance out of compliance because we don't have parents. For me, it's always, how are we reaching out, right? How are we reaching out and trying to engage, right? What time are these meetings happening? Are they happening in person? Is there virtual opportunity? Because we also understand, right, some of the barriers that we experience in this community, where if you're a single parent and you're at work and you have multiple children in multiple different schools, it is so difficult to want to be involved and to do the best job you can because of those constraints, right? And so how are we making those decisions? But to your point, those decisions can't happen if we are not in the room, right? If we are not saying these are the issues in this, we need meetings to happen at this time or in this place because we want to ensure there's access for everyone. If people don't have our experiences, they can't speak to those things. And so we have to be in that room. Somebody, some spokesperson has to be there to point it out and say, hey, this may be why there's an access issue. This may be why we don't have enough parents involved or wanting to be involved because of these constraints. And very often, I'll say from a professional and a community standpoint, sometimes the determination is made that we don't want to be involved, right? And that sometimes is erroneous, right? It's not that we don't; it's that kind of how the box has been set up is not conducive for everyone. And so a part of this conversation is to understand how things happen and for our viewers to understand, hey, these are things that maybe need to change because I do want to be involved, right? So now I need to understand when these things are happening and using my voice to kind of change how things are happening so that you could be involved. And maybe reach out to the Board of Ed members and say, hey, I want to be involved, but they only have it at 9 a.m. to 11 on Wednesdays, right? And I'm at work, right? And so using those different avenues to really be a part of the process. But again, it can't change to our benefit if we're not in the room to push for that decision. So sort of changing speeds and changing conversation, right? Moving into your experience, you talked a little bit about some of the challenges that you see. Going into the new school year, right, and thinking about the work that the board needs to do in order to continue the success of our students. What are some of the challenges and issues that you think should be at the forefront of people's minds, right, and that we should be focused on as a city for our students?
Okay, I'll answer that, but first I do want to respond to the last thing you said.
Okay.
I remember when Clark Street School was open, they realized a lot of parents drop kids off, walk them. So they used to have a PTO meeting in the morning and in the evening. They used to say, you drop them off, come right on in, we got breakfast. So it is principal's job to know who they're serving in their school and make those meetings. So it's their job to find that out. So I definitely wanted to say that.
Thank you.
I think the most challenging thing in our school system is our budget. It is our budget. So a lot of times if you hear the school system has been flat funded for over 12 plus years, flat funding means the city cannot, per law, give us less than they gave us the year before. So flat funding means in their budget, the budgeted item for the Board of Ed has not changed in 12. Name one thing that the price is still the same. The price might still be same, but is less in quantity. So you'd be like, these pack of crackers, like, they the same price, but it used to be 6 in here and now it's 4. But nothing raising costs of special education, because a lot of times, and this is another thing people don't know, if your child is in if you're a Hartford resident and through the lottery you choose things for your child outside of the city, if that body, that school system chooses you need to be special ed, you need to be in this special program, is this special school, they're making the decision and Hartford has to pay for that. A lot of people, we're not at the table saying, no, we know this better, we're not at the table. They make the decision for the Hartford resident kid, and Hartford Public Schools has to pay the tuition. That's one thing that is very challenging for our budget, big time. But the other challenges, I'll say 2 more, is the actual budget that the city gives us. This year the mayor threw some extra money in on the side, but he didn't even allow us to say our priority. So we had programs for our overage undercredited, and we have what we call the HOPE program to say you struggling bad in mainstream. We need to have something specialized for you to get you back on track. That was our collectively from board members, we said that is our highest priority. But when the mayor gave us, because it was on the things where we have to cut these things, but when the mayor gave us money, he earmarked everything he gave us. And it was all to organizations. So I don't know if those organizations was pushing up on him, but he did not give the money to the school system, that extra $5 million. He didn't give it to us, so we had our priority list, so we could make our student. He funded some after school companies. So he decided what he wanted to do with the extra money. But as far as the regular budget, it has not increased in, I want to say, over 12 years. So we haven't had enough money to do just basic education. During COVID, with all that extra ARPA funds, we were able to do a lot. But it ran out last year, and you saw we're back to the city doesn't fund us, and they flat fund us, and we have to just make things work with money. It's kind of getting less money, even though it's the same money, because cost has gone up. And then I think the third thing I'll say is, if you don't get your kids to school, they can't learn. We have a chronic absentee issue, and sometimes it's kids who they can't get themselves to school. So it's not like a kid older, I don't want to go, and the mother, you gotta go to school, and kids giving you
back and forth.
I'm talking about you in kindergarten, and you chronically absent, you don't get yourself to school. So we have to support, if it's your family member, try to just support them and say, how could I help you get these kids to school? Because we know them in our family, he always late, and we talking amongst ourselves, but how could I help you get your kids to school? If it's on my way, or
Yeah.
But chronic absenteeism is an issue, and I was hoping it got better. I have to get some statistics on it, on some new numbers, because we have the Hartford Promise Scholarship. So it used to be, my oldest got it, and it was just $20,000, $5,000 a year for if you go to a 4-year institution. Now
it's 100,000.
100,000. So, but part of it is that 93% attendance. So my youngest, my kids never miss school anyway, so that part is easy. But for some families, that's not. You can have a 3.0 student, and then they just always crying after, so they letting $100,000 go.
They're gonna miss out.
Get them to school. But we also recognize as a school district in the work that we do is we have to have environments that they want to come to. That's what is for me, it's always going to go back to the principal. Creating that environment that, I remember my 4th grade, I went to Martin Luther King School, Mr. Marshall. I always wanted to go, like his class. When you got picked for this man class, you was just like, oh yes. Like I remember, you know how you ain't open your report card, your mother, you'll get in trouble. Yeah. I couldn't take it. When I got in my building, I just ripped it open like 4th grade, where I'm going, because they gave it to you the last day of school on last. I wanted to go. I wanted to be in his classroom. I wanted to. Mr. Barrows was the principal. You felt loved in the building, no question. So that is what my personal desire is for, like Hartford Public Schools. But environment is key. But as a family, as a community, we have to get these children in school. We can't teach them if you don't bring them.
All right. And so as we close out our conversation, right? You are going for re-election, right? And so if you are elected to another term, what do you hope to achieve in this portion of membership for the board?
I'm hoping that finally we could be a board that's more legislatively focused. Okay. I think we've missed the opportunity of engaging with our legislators, making them aware of our challenges. So when they're putting together a budget, or Representative Miriam Khan did a wonderful presentation. Like, that's what I'm saying. You know, when a bill gets presented and then it's public input and then they start chopping everything off and you end up with a bill that you're like, whatever. One of the things she was trying to accomplish was, we pay a lot in this special education tuition and it's not regulated in any kind of way. Okay. Like, they could just say, we raising our tuition because it's a private placement and it's because of the child has, special needs. So they have an IEP. So I'm thinking things could be easier for legislators to understand the challenges of Hartford Public Schools. I always try to elevate the community's voice. Like, that's my number one. So that's who I am. So I don't need to plan to do that. It's just how I'm wired. But I think we, even making city council more aware of what our challenges are. And some of our challenges are our challenges because it's just natural to the community that we're in. Okay. You have a lot of kids that have trauma just because last night somebody in their family got shot, somebody got shot on their street, or just they're facing homelessness or lack of food security. Like, it can be all of these things that just naturally happen in a community that trickles into the school. You can't avoid it, which you have to service, and to have more services that you need more funds. So I think making those folks who hold the purse strings aware of our challenges, I think we could do a much better job. So I'm looking forward to that. So we have a board member who knows how to organize us and saying, you said we was ready.
Mhm.
And she's a newer, a board member, Krista. So I'm like, that's just what we need. We have no legislative focus. So she helped out great with that. And I'm hoping at some point she can lead in that legislative. We have a legislative task force.
Okay.
Because we have not been, like, it'll be like, oh, call your legislators. But I'm talking about being
Mobilized and
and ready
Yeah.
for it, not just testifying when a bill comes, having relationships with our legislators, and when they're in session they can speak to it because we're informing them and having that relationship with them. So if there's one thing that I think we can do better as a board and that I want to impact is funding for our children.
So with that being said, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. I'm not sure if we have any, do we have any questions in the chat?
No.
Okay. So we will replay this, and that's usually how people see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be on our page, it'll be on our YouTube, we'll replay it. I think it was, you provided a wealth of information today. Some things I didn't even know, right? That I'll share with people that I know as well. So thank you for being here with us today. Good luck on your re-election campaign.
Thank you.
And until next time, everyone, I will see you on the next Talk Tuesday.